Good morning. I am really happy that we finally connected.
Yes.
Today, on today's show, we have the one and only Emily Frisella. You are an incredible entrepreneur. You're a multi-passionate entrepreneur. And she started her very first brick and mortar at the age of 20, which is unbelievable, really. You have another company that you founded. It's called the Paper and Plan Company, and I'm obsessed with it.
Thank you so
Obsessed.
much.
You published not one, but two best-selling cookbooks, right?
Yes.
Best-selling author of The Fresh Farmhouse Kitchen, which I love, and The Saint's Plate and The Sinner's Dinner, which I need to get.
Oh, I'll send you one of those.
You created the Fit Home and Health Company, and you co-host the Curious Me podcast. And if that weren't enough, you're the founder of the Women in Business Workshop, which I definitely want to get into with you because I'm dying for you to do another one. And I've got a bunch of gals that want to come with. COO, Chief Operating Officer of 44/7 Media and the Arate Syndicate. You are fucking unbelievably busy. Yet you have the time, you carve out the time, and you have the discipline to do 75 hard. You look absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
You're so
business
sweet.
coach. No, this is your bio, sis. So
I know, but it always sounds weird. Like whenever, people ask for your bio, like, oh, here it is. And then like typed up, it looks short. And then people start being like, man, this is like, sounds like a lot. I need to, niche this down just a little bit. Make it a little bit more compact.
It shows, you know what? It just shows how busy people get shit done.
Yeah.
Right? The busier you are, and not busy. And when I mean busy, I don't mean busy like doing bullshit.
No, it's about being effective,
productive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you do it all?
I use the paper and plan code. So, no, I plan it all. And I have always used a method that I call priorities, needs, and wants to prioritize what I'm doing in my life, what happens in the business, what happens in my personal life, all that stuff. And I use this as, it's really kind of like my operations Bible, if you will, on how I run my daily routine. Because the thing is that I say a routine, but it's anything but, things change all the time. And the more things that I take on and get involved in, the more fuzzy gray area my routine has. The only routine I have that's, set in stone is my morning and my night routine. But during the day, it varies. So it's really important for me to write things down. I set a lot of reminders on my phone. And the thing is that it sounds, like everything you said is a lot. And it is like, every day is chaotic, but the thing is it's controlled chaos because I know I'm in control of my time. And it's something that I learned as I've gotten older of, not overcommitting myself, allowing myself space to just be, because I got to a point where I was so busy. And I'm not saying all the productive busy, I was productive, but then I was also doing busy work. And what happened is that I became bitter and resentful towards myself for overscheduling things. I'm like, I'd be all excited to do it. And then the day comes, I'm like, God, I don't feel like this. I need to do this instead. So I kind of just created like a rule for myself as far as like 3 commitments a day. And that's it. So I'll do 3 calls, it's maybe 3 interviews, 3 coaching calls, 3 meetings, something like that. 3 things that involve my time. And I try to always book those back to back. Like today, mine are 3 in a row. And I do that because that way it allows me the rest of the day to get all the other work done in all the other companies that I either own or that I operate. So it just allows me to do that. So I kind of cluster my time, if you will.
So talk to me about how you got started in your entrepreneurial journey. Let's go back to the beginning. Did you grow up you grew up in Missouri?
Yes.
And you were originally a farm girl, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I love that. And,
yeah. So I grew up on
about the beginning.
Yeah. So I grew up on a farm, about an hour from where we live now. And my dad was an entrepreneur. He owned trucking companies and brokerage firms my entire life. He was successful in what he did. And I saw firsthand the life that entrepreneurship could provide. And, we weren't living like some lavish lifestyle, but we lived very comfortably, and I saw the hard work that it took to do that. It wasn't just, I saw my dad come and go in 9 to 5. And then, we were able to, be in all the special like sports clubs we were in and go to, do all the things that we were able to do. I saw him get up at the crack of dawn, go feed the cattle, work on the farm, come home. He would get ready. He would drive to his office, which was an hour and 20 minutes away because he needed to be in the heart of St. Louis for what he did. So he'd drive an hour and 20 minutes to his office, work all day, drive an hour and 20 minutes back home, eat dinner, and then go back out on the farm and work till 10 o'clock and then get up and do it again the next day. So I saw this, and my mom, she was a stay-at-home mom, took care of my sisters and myself. And I just have always been, pulled towards that because I liked the idea of, even though he worked a lot, I liked the idea that, he could do what he wanted to do, is meaning he was in control. He called the shots. He got to, create the business and build it and create the culture. And it's just something that I never even entertained really anything else. I just always knew that, like, okay, this is what I want. So at 19, I bought my first house and redid that to kind of get myself, settled. And then at 20, I bought my first brick and mortar building, and then the property and the storage unit that was behind it. And I bought that. And, mind you, people say, well, how did you afford that at a young age? I'd worked since I was 14, and I was working 2 jobs. I played volleyball. I had practice, 2 hours after school, but then I would waitress, or I worked at a golf course. And I liked waitressing. I would always do that on the weekends if I didn't have a volleyball tournament, because I could calculate I was making tips. I was making the most tips on Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. So I'd waitress those days, and I would work at the golf course the other days. And I did that to save, knowing I wanted to have my own business and buy my own house. So at 20, I launched this, and, lots of learning, because at 20, you have an ego, you think you can't do wrong, everything. And there was, to say bumps in the road is an understatement. It was more like potholes of like the Grand Canyon size that I had to go through and work through, but it was all such a learning curve. And then, I decided to sell my business and move to St. Louis. So I put my business up for sale one day, and it sold 3 hours later. And then I got a job here in St. Louis, and I knew that I still want to be an entrepreneur. I was like, I loved the company that I worked for and the people that were there and what I did, but it was still in my heart, like, I've got to do my own thing. And so I worked for someone else for probably about 5 or 6 years. And then I started writing my cookbook, and then, quit my job to devote myself to that and building my Fit Home and Health brand full time. And then a year after I quit my job, then that's when my first cookbook launched, and it's just kind of been up from there.
Wow, incredible. What would you say was the hardest first, or second lesson that you learned through that first brick and mortar? What was your worst experience, if you will?
It was not asking for help. So it's again, I think it's still not even just because I was 20. I feel like that's a big problem with all entrepreneurs, or just people in general, is not asking for help. Why didn't I ask this man, meaning my dad, who had been successful in all of his endeavors and a new business inside and out? Why didn't I ask him for help or, control this? Like, I understood nothing, like in college, you take business management, marketing, like I hate to burst anybody's bubble, but that taught me literally nothing, like nothing at all. It is not real world application. And I just wish I would have asked him for help, because I got myself in some trouble financially because I, didn't understand terms. I didn't understand, cash flow management and things like that. I had a beautiful store with tons of inventory. It was all like one of a kind things. I sourced like the best things I could find. And I wanted to offer something that our town didn't have. And it was a small town. You couldn't even buy a pair of socks in my town, truly. And you can now from the dollar store, but that's it. There's nothing really there. And so I wish I would have asked for help more, and probably just took it a little bit slower and not tried to, because I heavily held on to the fake it till you make it saying we always hear. So my quote, faking it, was having all this beautiful inventory. And really I was checking the bank account, like calling, because this is before online banking or anything like that. You had to wait to get your bank statements at the end of the month. And I would like call the bank to check my funds and stuff. And then I got myself into financial trouble because I, didn't do online banking, and that wasn't an option. And I got myself buried and thought I had a lot more money than I did. And my employees' checks bounced, and it was just a huge issue. So luckily I was a good saver. I was a good personally financially with savings. So I was able to pump some of that into the company. But yeah, probably just asking for help and humbling myself would be the two biggest lessons.
So do you think, I think one of the reasons, I think the main reason people don't ask for help is because they feel shame. And shame, I think, along with jealousy, is just the worst emotion that you could feel.
Mhm.
It's crippling. What do you
Mhm.
think? What do you think it
I
was?
think I think it's more so that they're afraid to feel stupid, because here you're trying to do your own thing and you're basically creating something that's going to provide a life for you and your family. And if you don't know the answer to it, it makes you feel stupid, like, okay, well, I can't do this. And you have these self-doubts instead of just saying like, hey, I want to work with this company, but they have terms like this, but my cash flow is this. What do you think I should do? Instead of just asking for help. Because the thing is that, obviously, yes, we learn from our mistakes, but if you're able to ask others and they can kind of soften that raw edge of that mistake, that's going to help you tremendously. So I think yeah, like you said, like shame. And I think it's this embarrassment. Nobody's going to know anything. The thing is that in entrepreneurship, every single thing is unique. It's just like people's personalities. Everybody has their little quirks and things you learn about them as you go along. That's how entrepreneurship is. There's not a cookie cutter thing. It's, yes, we all know the same shit of, you got to have this, you got to pay your taxes and you got to do, blah, blah, blah. But it's all the little nuances that come along with it. And not any single one is exactly the same.
Yeah, it's so, and that's one of the things that I love so much about the Arte Syndicate. You know,
Yeah,
do you want to talk about what that is and how that
sure.
supports being humble and saying, I don't know everything and I need
Yeah.
help?
Yeah. So it is a group of entrepreneurs that range all ages, all type of industries. It was founded by my husband, Andy Frisella, and his business partner, Ed Milet. They started it. It's 3.5 years in, and it was started from a speaking engagement they were doing. And they didn't like that everybody was trying to just sell everybody on a program or a course or this or that to learn. And they were like, you know what, let's do something different. Let's actually provide this service for people where they can learn and meet entrepreneurs. And we always say the power of Arte Syndicate is in the network with the people. So it's brought people together from all over the world that can collaborate, can talk, can discuss, can become business partners, can do all this stuff together and solve each other's problems and help. And then Ed and Andy, both very accomplished entrepreneurs, can share with them lessons and what they need to do and kind of give them the 10,000 foot view. And then they're, further down the road than, some of the people in the group. So they're able to share with them experiences and how to basically, like I said, soften that sharp corner of entrepreneurship for them and be, serve as mentors for this group. So it's just absolutely wonderful. It just people that want to change the world. Everybody's so aligned and they want to do the right thing. They want to grow their businesses, provide, give back to their community. It's just such a solid group of people.
And you're heavily involved in that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. See, yep, I am.
You are.
Yep. It's so much fun though. I enjoy it. Like, I absolutely love it. I've met some really cool people through that and formed a ton of friendships, through the people that are in the Arte Syndicate. Cause I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, they feel alone. They feel like they can't talk or vent or share with others because let's say they're, their friend group that are great people, but they're not entrepreneurs. They can't always understand what's going on. So sometimes I feel entrepreneurs feel alone or isolated because they don't have people that understand, or they can't be as transparent because, entrepreneurs would go through struggles. It's like a roller coaster. It's up and down constantly. And it's so helpful and reassuring for you to be able to share these struggles, hardships, or successes with other people that have also experienced that and know that, okay, you're in a low right now, but your next high point is coming. And if you talk to people that aren't entrepreneurs, they think when you say low, they immediately think like, oh my gosh, you're going out of business. You're this or that. And that's not it. It's just, it's just part of the deal with it. So
Yeah, I do. I think it's a special language and a
yes,
special way, a unique way of living your life.
absolutely.
And I find, and I don't know about you, I'm sure this is the case, and you'll keep me, you'll let me know about how your time is going. You cut me off when I need to stop. But do you surround yourself with a lot of like-minded women? Is that one of the reasons why you started your Women in Business? And when do we get to meet up.
Yeah. So that's 100% of the reason why I started it, because anybody that follows me on social media knows that I'm not like some fluffy woo woo, like glitter and feathers type of girl. I'm more like a masculine energy, if you will. And I just couldn't connect with women that were like that. They're great people, but as far as actually business operations, like, this is unpopular opinion, I guess, but I'm not into affirmations and things like that. I don't do anything like that. I just want to get in, get gritty, and get the work done. And I wanted to find other women that were like that, you're able to be completely free yourself. And they were on the same, wavelength as you and mindset. And so I decided, I was telling Andy when I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start this workshop. I'm going to do one, see how it goes, see if there's any need for it or demand for it. And I booked the hotel, the venue for it. And I was like, well, I'll just do 35 tickets. That way it's the first one I'll ever do. If it sucks, it sucks. And it was only 35 people. Or if it goes good, okay, then we can grow from there. So it's kind of like my little beta test, if you will. And I announced it. I put the tickets up for sale, I believe about 4 months before, because if you've ever been to a women business workshop, there's a lot of details that go into it for the ladies. So I have to know who's coming far in advance to get things made and created and things like that. I put the tickets up for sale and they sold out in, I think it was less than 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, wait a second. This is actually something then. And so actually, I think it was 1 minute and 17 seconds actually now, because I think I shared it on my story and I remember typing that. So I was like, okay, this is something. And, when you sell tickets publicly, you can't vet the people. You don't know who you're going to get. And that was highly a concern of mine. And I was like, I just hope there's no cancers in the group, meaning gossipy girls, drama, all that kind of stuff. And I met all the ladies that day and I was like, wow, they are all so cool. There was not a single cancer in the entire group. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I just got lucky because it's only 35 people. And I remember calling Andy the first night, because I held it here, and they're held in St. Louis here, but I stay at the hotel because there's so much going on and everything. And I called him after the first night. I go, I know this sounds so weird, but this is like a movie, how well everybody is getting along and how it's going. And he was like, that's awesome. And so I was like, okay, well, let's do this again and try a bigger group. So then I went up to 55 the next year, still such a solid group of ladies. And then this last year we had 76 women there. And I just do it once a year for now. I was going to do it a couple more times a year, but with, the COVID and things like that, it's kind of, posed a little bit of a issue for ladies wanting to come in and out. And then I also have to balance my get-togethers with all the Arate things and things like that. So this next year it's coming, it's already booked, or the venue's booked, tickets are not on sale yet, but it's going to be the first weekend in June. And it's already I got speakers lined up. Everything's already ready to roll. We'll be putting tickets up for sale probably in March.
All right, set one aside for me. Set a couple aside for me and my girls. There's a bunch of Arate women that I'm friends with who were at another event in Montana the same weekend, and we had already booked.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so there's no way I'm missing this one. First,
I hope you can make it.
Locked out. There's no way. Yeah. No, events are a great way to connect with like-minded people, in this case all women. And it is very rare for women like us to find each other who aren't fucking spoons.
Right. And that's the thing is I wanted women that you can talk about all the shit, the gritty, the dark, the just the shit of entrepreneur, but you could talk about where you get your hair done, what kind of lip gloss is that. You can still have the little girl talk, but you can, the girls talk, but you can also have this hey, let's fucking dominate. You know what I mean? So it was just the perfect happy medium. It's just, I don't know. I just love all and honestly, those girls that are in this group, I talk to all of them on the regular, constantly. And it's just great because it's we form such great friendships where people just love to come and connect and see each other, and we all learn and then we talk. It's honestly I just feel so grateful and fortunate to have these ladies, because if, let's say, there was never a women business event ever again, I have met 75 of the most badass women that we're all in each other's corner.
It's incredible. And there is something really unique and special about women like us getting together sort of without
Yeah.
the guys and the,
Yeah.
my dick is this big and all of that, because there is a lot of that going on too,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great.
No, but
Sometimes
it's a different, it just has a different energy about it, and it's hard to explain, and I could rattle on about it forever, but it's just different. And it feels like, it sounds so cheesy, but it's like, it feels like this is where you were meant to be and where you belong at. You know what I mean? Because we all know that from that point, when we meet all these ladies, we're all going to elevate our own businesses, because nobody keeps secrets from each other. It's like, hey, who do you use for this? Who is your web girl? Who does this? Who does your ads? Who does this? And we all share that. And the thing is that we use such a great referral base. And the thing is that with all the referral bases that we use, and we all start doing our business there, the companies that we're doing business with know, like, hey, I got to serve these 23 ladies that are using my company from this one group well, because if I mess up with one, I'm going to lose all of them. And so it's pretty remarkable that, how much, it's like, we just get, I don't know, it's like, it's not preferential treatment, but it's like, they know, like, hey, I got to do it right. So it's great referrals. It's just wonderful.
well, and it helps you grow bigger. So because you don't
Huge.
have to spend time finding out who the best person is who does this, you already know.
Yep.
If this person trusts them, I can trust them. They're going to do a good job. And then it
Absolutely.
just eliminated a whole bunch of time. So
Absolutely.
let me ask you about, I don't know how much time we have, but I know.
Oh, I'm good. I've got like 20 more minutes.
Okay,
or so.
great.
So
great,
we're good.
Great. So I have a theory that really strong women who build big and do amazing things in life and have this really, really strong work ethic, which you clearly do, and I know I have,
Mm-hmm.
who are relentless in the pursuit of their own personal development, relentless in pursuit of seeing how big they can grow something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel that their dad and or their mom instilled in them at a really young age that work ethic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I know that you were indicating earlier that you saw that your dad did all this stuff and he had a strong work ethic. Did you get to go with him to that office an hour and 20 minutes away in the city? Did he bring you along? Did he kind of like let you shadow him a bit?
Oh yeah, we did that all the time. It was so much. I mean, we couldn't go during the year, obviously, because of school, but in the summertime, we would get to go. And it was always so fun. Like, I mean, I can remember from the earliest age where we would be so excited to go to work with dad, because even though we were there and we get to sit in on like meetings and walk around the office and see everybody, but we would also take our coloring books, because we would use the copier there and make copies of our coloring pages and then sell them to kids at school. So so I was trying to hustle it a little bit, use the free printer and ink at the office. But
Great.
yeah, I did see that, because one of the biggest blessing that my parents ever gave me, because my mom she had crazy work ethic as well, because she essentially had to take care of us three girls, by herself, because my dad was gone all day, and we were all heavily involved in sports, school activities, at church, everything. And our house was always spotless, and she always looked so nice and put together. And like, it was just, I mean, honestly, I truly, I'm so blessed. Like, and it's rare nowadays, but I grew up with, like, if anybody knows what the Waltons are, I grew up with like, literally like the picture perfect, like all American family, if you will. And so I'm so grateful for that. But the thing is that they taught me from a very early age that, they were successful, but I am not. I mean, it's they earned their money. I did not earn that money. So I need to work for myself. That's why I took a job at 14. I didn't have to work. They didn't, you know what I mean? They weren't pushing me to work. But the thing is, I knew that I wanted more, and I knew I wanted to. And I've always had like this very independent spirit. I knew I wanted to earn my own money, because I remember I wanted a pair back then. And it's actually funny because the trend is back around, but Doc Martens were a thing. And back then they were like $150 a pair. And my mom said, no, if you want a pair of shoes that's that price, you have to work for it. And this is when I was a waitress. And I said, okay. And the place I worked at, it was a barbecue joint that did wonderful. And I would make about $1,000 to $1,200 a weekend in tips. And I was like, okay. And so I went to work one day, and then I remember calling her about 2 hours into my shift, and I go, well, I got enough money now. Can we go to the mall tomorrow before work and I can get my shoes? And she was like, you already made $150. I said, yes. I go, this is how I make money in my tips. And she was like, okay. And so I got it. So the thing is, like, I love that they still always instilled that in me, because it was never this, we'll give you anything you want. It's, or here, have this, have this. They never spoiled us. They made us work for it to appreciate how hard a dollar is to earn.
The value of a dollar.
Absolutely.
You think that's being taught today?
No, I think that is a huge, huge downfall in society now. That if it's not the parents are trying to instill that perhaps, but then when they go out in the real world with their friends or at school or whatever else, it's all being downplayed. That's why I feel that, kids they struggle more mentally now. There's, kids don't want to work because they're given everything. It's honestly scary. Like I worry about the generations to come because they don't have that work ethic. They don't have that drive. They don't have, and part of this, it is, our education is at fault, because I had this conversation 2 days ago with a girl that works for us. And, you don't learn, like we've all talked about, you don't learn taxes, how to balance a checkbook, how to change your oil, what a mortgage is, what, interest is. You don't learn any of that in school. You're learning trigonometry and long division. And I cannot tell you when I've used that, you know what I mean? But it's like, we're not teaching the basics to these kids. Therefore, they're completely unprepared, because the world is a lot more brutal now than it used to be. Because back whenever, you and I were kids, there's not social media. There wasn't all this pressure. And the thing is, kids, I feel, have less confidence now. And with that mixed with social media of all like the filters and all the stuff that people are comparing themselves now, these kids are just having such a hard time, and they're not always to blame. You know what I mean?
People in general, I think, are having a hard time right now.
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you played sports, and you said that you played volleyball. And I'm assuming that when you played your volleyball, there were no fucking trophy medals. You either won or you lost.
It was a first place trophy, a second place medal, and then you were a loser.
Yeah. And when did that change? Why did that change?
I don't know, and that's what's so bad is because, there's competition is good. And the thing is, it's teaching your kids to take a loss in sports. Okay. They're going to probably throw a tantrum or be mad. But the thing is, that should be a driver for them. Like, hey, you know what? And a lesson for parents to say, you gotta work harder. We need to practice more. And you gotta, do this and that, and, be alert on the field and all this kind of stuff. And it's sad. And actually Andy wrote a book about that. It's our Otis and Charlie book. It's called Play to Win. It's about competition is good. Competition favors you. And I, can't help but think if that's why our generation is the way it is and the next generation is not, because everybody is considered a winner there, and that, I think it kind of actually, I'm 39. I feel like it kind of started happening even when I was in high school, our junior high, kind of getting out is when they started doing the more like everybody's even and stuff. Cause I remember teachers, telling me that one of my math teacher in, what was it? 7th grade, I guess we had to do a test about, how you would write words like 44 and 30, like if you were writing a check, you know what I mean? How you would actually write the actual word number out instead of just the actual numeric digit. And I was the only kid in the class that got 100% on it. But I studied and I worked hard for it, and she's announced in front of the class, like, oh, and Emily is the only one that got 100 on this. And then the kids like clapped for me. And then she goes, actually, you know what? I should have just gave you a 98 since nobody else got 100. So like she said that statement, it's never lost. I'm like, so I work so hard, and just because the other kids didn't do as good, now you want to lower my hard work. And right then I was just like, it just has always stuck with me. And like, that's what's wrong with the freaking world.
One of the many things, but I think that that's a big thing. I don't know. I don't know why this is coming into my head right now, but did you ever see the movie The Incredibles? The guy. Yeah. And he's like, he tries to make himself, this ordinary kid, have these superpowers. And he says, when everybody's special, then no one is. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
He was the villain, but here we are. We're living that out. Yes. And if everybody has the same amount of money with socialism, then nobody's rich and nobody's poor, and everything's going to be equal and everything is going to be great. But I think that the truth is, this is the attempted destruction of our society.
Yeah, it's funny you said about socialism. I actually just read something this morning that said, and it was so perfectly stated. It's like, people in a free country want to talk about socialism, but try to go to a socialist country and talk about freedom there and see what happens. And the thing is, it's not so. People think socialism is everybody's going to be equal as the quote rich. No, everybody's going to be equally poor, and the ultra rich, like the Bezoses, Bill Gates, they're going to become more wealthy, and you're going to become broke. It's spreading poverty evenly is what it is. And that's such a misinterpretation.
That's exactly right. That is the statement of this interview. What you just said.
Yeah.
It's going to be poverty. And as entrepreneurs, I feel like we have an obligation to encourage and help as many people, women, if that's your goal, but people as possible to take that leap of faith, to attempt to start their own thing, and then support the small businesses. Because if we lose this, it's going to be gone for our future. Yeah, for our kids,
and it's
their kids.
And we need to speak up, not just, getting people to organize, do their own thing. And a lot of people, obviously with all of the COVID talks and the vaccine mandates and things like that some people are putting in place, people are losing their jobs, getting laid off, whatever it might be. And, the important thing is that, I feel like the people that have been speaking out and they're trying to, quote, wake everybody up, but the fact is that some people don't want to be woke up. They like, being the headline hero or just reading the headlines or an article partway through and not actually diving into the actual data and the actual reports. But the thing is that I am personally at a point where I'm just mentally and emotionally exhausted from trying to share and educate with people. Like, when I posted something the other day about the FDA, whenever they had their 8-hour symposium that I watched on the 17th, I shared something a couple days after that. And it was with that stats. And I got blown up by people that had not seen it and telling me that I am so irresponsible for sharing this and blah, blah. They didn't even know that symposium happened. And I said, this is all actual numbers and data and quotes from the FDA on their YouTube. You can go, it's public knowledge, and doctors on there. And I'm sharing that. And guess what? After I shared the link with them, I said, timestamp 4 hour, 21 minutes is when this was said. And I gave them the timestamps. I didn't get one single reply back from those people because they had no idea that even existed. So therefore, I am so irritated that no one is even keeping an open mind. So instead of like, okay, you know what? If you want to be a sheep, be a sheep. I can't fucking wake you up. Let's just wake the fucking lions up and get them roaring and then get these people to come together, because it's going to take the people that are standing up and ready to step out. And, they're not worried about people. It's such bullshit that I'm getting so like fired up just talking about it. It's just such bullshit. People are afraid to even speak out that agree with like, yeah, this is crap. We need to let people, and I'm not anti or pro. The thing is, I am pro choice. I am pro freedom. You make your own choice, do what you want. And you know what, if, I don't know what the, demographic or anything of your podcast is, but the thing is that if you want a mask to protect you and if they work, then why are you hustling me that I'm not wearing one if you're wearing one to protect you? Like, the logic is not there. And so you can't educate those people. They don't want to be that, or they're holding on to their egos. Andy and I was talking about that. It's like, they're so held strong in what they first believed that even though maybe in their heart, they know that this isn't right anymore, but they don't want to be wrong. It's like, this is a time where you just say, oops, I'm sorry. I didn't know there was this much data out there, or these other sites, or I didn't know that certain companies are, they're funding these studies. And that's why they're coming out. Look, you pay for a study, you're going to get whatever results you want. I could say that, plain water has carbonation in it, and people would argue me, but if I pay some company, to write it, they're going to write about it and it's going to come quote true. There just needs to be more education and more due diligence on everyone's part to research for this, because we're in very dangerous territory and thin ice right now. And it is about banding together, whether it's, supporting each other's small businesses, speaking out on others' behalf. Don't be afraid of losing your freaking Instagram followers. You don't want those people anyway. If they're not open-minded enough, or, they feel the need to come in and troll you, don't feed the trolls. Just say, okay, and let them go. You know what I mean? Or like, set them the facts and that's it.
Yeah. Or let them find the facts on their own.
They won't though. That's the thing, is they're not willing. That's the thing is, well, I keep a notepad in my phone. I have links to everything. And so I'm kind of like I want you to drink from a fire hose if you're coming at me and be like, no, look, here it is. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, they're not going to they don't want to find the facts out.
So it's really similar to what you did when you were 20 and you didn't want to ask for help because you didn't want to admit that you made a mistake or that you were wrong. But the truth is, and everybody needs to hear this really clearly, and I'm going to say it all the time, is that the people on this side of the fence are not
Mhm.
going to mock you or make fun of you or tell you, fuck you, you didn't listen to us from the beginning. We're going to
Right.
say, I'm glad you're awake. I'm glad you're not woke. I'm glad you're
Right.
awake. Come
Right.
join us. We're going to
Yes.
accept you. We're not going to shame you. We're not going to embarrass you. We're going to be glad that you finally really woke up. So
Exactly.
it's okay to say you made a mistake. It's okay to
Absolutely.
say I was purposefully deceived, because the information that's out there and the majority of the news on television is purposefully misleading you, purposefully not
Absolutely.
telling you that the World Health Organization and the NIH completely changed their stance on ivermectin,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
hydroxychloroquine, and they fucking approved it. And
Yep.
yet hospitals are still not giving it
Right.
when it can
Yep. And
save people's lives. And when you try to post something on social media, those fucktards on
mm-hmm.
Facebook and Instagram, these quote unquote fact checkers, shut you
Yeah.
down.
Well, it's all the censorship. And the thing is that, people that shared that, what I shared about me sharing the FDA story the other day, I had people that were resharing that. And they were like, this got deleted and taken down. They said they're going to delete my account. You're putting out actual public information that the FDA themselves released, and that is being hidden from you. The thing is if things are becoming hidden from you, that's very indicative that that is actual truth. And these quote fact checkers, they don't, if you ever read the things about like who the actual fact checkers are, they actually have no medical background, nothing at all. It's just it's an algorithm searching for keywords, and they boot you off. So the thing is, the fact that this stuff is being hidden from you is saying, hey, you know what? We don't want you to have the option to make a choice. We want this to be so ingrained in your mind, because they know Instagram, I believe, is like the third or fourth most used app. And they know there's such heavy traffic on there. And that is where they're finding people at, because people may not be watching the news, or people don't know there's a difference between CNN and Fox News. They don't understand that, but they go to Instagram and they say, oh, my friend posted this, it must be true. Well, that's where you need to really evaluate it and say, you know what, I need to take in all of the information that I see and go from there. However, it is purposely misleading. Like you said, it is trying to keep people under, a blanket, but history does repeat itself. And why do you think they're trying so hard to delete history? So you don't know what the hell is going on, and you don't know what's coming. It's a cyclical thing. Every 80 years this is happening. Actually 60 to 80 years this type of thing happens.
So the work that you're doing
Mm-hmm.
on the podcast that you work on the women in business, on coming on this show, it means something.
Mm-hmm.
And you influence people, and it's really a beautiful thing. So I commend you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it greatly. And the thing is, if anybody listens to this and they're not, agreeing, or they do, have their own take on, that's totally fine. The thing is that we need to have less debate and more dialogue, because we've seemed to have lost the art of conversation through hiding behind our internet keyboards, and behind our phones and screens and all that kind of stuff, that we lost the ability to have dialogue. I've met some great people through this that we don't agree on what's going on. However, we can have an adult conversation about it and point out different sides of things and different articles that we found and things like that, to where they send me articles and I can see how people truly believe this and see this. And that's the whole plan. So for people to admit that, you know what, I was wrong, I was, like you said, purposely misled, that was their plan. So you're not stupid. That's just what they were feeding you, So that's the thing, is it's, look at the data, look what's happening. How do things aren't adding up yet. Kids are being strapped with a mask on their face, but yet the Emmys and the Met Gala, nobody has a mask on. They're talking face to face. Like these are the little cues that people aren't catching on to, of like, well, why is it okay for this, but yet kids have to have this? It's really opening your eyes to every single element that's going on.
I can't understand why people aren't looking at what's happening in Israel and
Oh
saying,
my gosh.
oh my gosh, Israel is the country where I think
90% of vaccination rates, and there's 150% higher deaths. It is absolutely crazy. And I believe it's, was it 53% more of the enlarged, like with the heart issues and things like that. So yeah, Israel how is the highest vaccinated country the one that has the most deaths and reinfections of COVID and things such as that?
That's what I was going to say, is that they have more people spiking with second and third contracting the virus, second and third times after vaccination, after the second booster, after the third booster. I mean, this is a fucking unbelievable moneymaker for these companies.
Well, and what's
How many
wrong
boosters have you ever gotten for the flu shot?
Right, exactly. And that's the thing, is that the people don't understand that this is an mRNA. This is not an actual vaccine. This is an mRNA. This is gene therapy. So with this, that's the difference in this. And I'm going to have to go here shortly, but I just lost track of time. I was like, oh no. But with that though, is like these viruses constantly evolve. That's why every year there's a different flu shot. That's what, because they make this strain to this, but they're not actually even logging the vaccinated deaths. And if you die within 14 days of your second shot, or less than 14 days and it's your second shot, they're calling it with COVID. They're not saying that you're considered unvaccinated. So if I get a shot and then start having issues and I get my second shot and it's within, if I die on the 10th day after that, I'm considered unvaccinated. So these are the way they're camouflaging these numbers to instill more fear in you, to try to push this. And the fact is, when you're incentivized, bribed, you get money for it, you get to keep your job for it, you get to go out in public with it. The fact that we have these incentivized things over this vaccine should be the scariest part of all, because when was the last time you saw so many professional sports teams or commercials or anybody pushing to go get the flu shot or to get the chickenpox shot or whatever, or measles, whatever? When have you ever seen that? That's not a thing. And so the fact that there's so much marketing around this is what makes it very alarming and very disturbing.
Hugely disturbing.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Tell them where they can go to find you and follow you and grab your cookbooks and all of it.
Sure. Yeah. The quickest way, or the easiest way, is actually just go to @EmilyFrisella on Instagram. You can click the link in my bio and find everything else from there.
Okay. Thanks for carving out the time. It was
oh my gosh, thanks for having me. I'm glad it worked out.
I'm glad I get to meet you in person this weekend.
Yes. It'll be so great.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Have a safe flight.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
You too. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.